you? It's Dr. Muso. Today, we want to talk about the Mutapa State. Here is our question. Name any five craft work in the Mutapa State. We are talking about the work that was done using hands. So the craft that was done using hands in the Mutapa State. Don't forget, when we're answering part A, we just give a one-word answer. We list, we state, we name, we identify, we mention. So which were our craft work that was done in the Mutapa State? Number one, we can talk about those who were involved in the making of what? Of baskets. Baskets, they were made, they were used for storing what? Food. Baskets, reeds, they were also used for fishing. So it was a craft work that was done in the Mutapa State. The issue of what? Of basketry. Then we move on, we also talk about weaving. It was another what? A craft work that was done. We see that they were making purses, a purse. They were also making mats. So it was a craft work that was done in the Mutapa State. That is a weaving. You also talk about another craft work in form of leather work. Leather what work. You talk about when they killed an animal, when they killed a goat. Remember, long ago they used to put on what animal skins. So there were people now with that artistic way of making sure that the animal skin was designed in such a way that they could use that as what is a clothing. So you talk about a leather work, and also they had to use that as bags. Not only that, now they also now had to design that as what is sleeping nets. So you see that these are the people who were also very important in the Mutapa State. You move on, we also talk about the issue of metal work. Metal work. But here we are talking about iron smelting. Those people who smelted what iron ore, and they made iron tools such as axes, wars, and spears. So they to what mine iron ore, and when they mined iron ore, they to smelt it so that they could now make tools such as axes, spears, and wars. So we talk about the issue of iron smelters, the iron smelters. Then we also talk about those who were involved in pottery. They made pots. So they to design what pots, and these pots now we see that they were designed in such a way that they were so what attractive. So the pots that they made now, we see that they were used for storing water. They were also used for storing what? Food. So we see those people were involved in what? In pottery. So these are some of the craft work that were done in the Mutapa State. Number B, outline any six uses of kettle in the Mutapa State. What were the kettle used for in the Mutapa State? Kettle they were used, you can talk about number one. Kettle they were used for religious activities. They were used for religious activities. So whenever they were celebrating different ceremonies, they had to use cattle. Cattle were slaughtered as they celebrated their religious activities. So you give a point when you are describing. When you describe, you give a point. You explain your your point. Don't forget when we write part B, we write it in form of a composition. Don't write part B in point form, but in form of a composition. We also see that cattle were also important in the Mutapa State. They were what are used for trade. People could trade using what animals. They could trade using what cattle. So cattle were very important. Cattle in the in the Mutapa State, they were also used. They were also used as form of food. They had to slaughter animals. When they slaughtered animals, they were in a position of getting meat, lumo lumo. They were in a position of getting a milk. So we see that cattle, they were very important. Why? Because they provided people with what? With food. They were also used as a form of what? Of labor. They could now plant their crops. They could now fetch water. They could now fetch firewood using their animals, using these cattle. So cattle played an important part in the sense that they to provide labor in the Mutapa State. They also used the cattle to pay tribute to their leaders. They paid tribute to their leaders to show respect or loyalty. So they to use these animals to pay a tribute to their leaders. So Ketu, we see that they played an important part. Ketu were also used for paying lobola. If you wanted to marry someone now, you could now pay what a lobola to your in-laws, appreciating your wife. So Ketu, we see that they also played an important part in the Mutapa state. Then you also talk about what Ketu. Ketu, they were also used to assist other people who were in need, to assist those people who were poor in the society through the Kuronzera system. So Ketu, they were a symbol of power, they were a symbol of wealth. The king would give Ketu to those people who were poor, those people who were in need, and by so doing now, the king had influence in the what in the state. So we see them being used by the king to make sure that he had power or authority over what over his people. So this Ketu now, we see that they played an important what part. Then you also talk about what Ketu also being used to what show that the king was in a position of dominating so many areas. They were raided in neighboring tribes. When they were raided now, they were used as food to the armies that were supposed to make sure that peace and order was maintained in the state. So these are some of the points that we can talk about. But as you are giving these points, make sure that you give it in form of a what explanation. Give a point, then you explain it so that we can get 12 out of 12. So that is what we have on this lesson. Thank you so much.